The Battle of Cindergate should have ended before humanity arrived. The Coalition fleet was broken, and the Vey Dominion's armada surrounded the final evacuation corridor. Commanders begged Earth for reinforcements, but Earth replied that no fleet was available. Hope collapsed across the Allied bridge. Then a single vessel appeared at the edge of the battlefield. Small and unmarked, it carried no national beacon, no visible weapons, and no escort. Dominion officers laughed when it moved between the enemy armada and 30,000 fleeing civilians. Grand Admiral Kor opened a channel and asked whether the lonely ship had come to surrender. The answer was one word: no. Kor ordered it destroyed. 6 cruisers fired. Their beams crossed the distance, and the unmarked vessel simply was not there when they arrived. It reappeared beside the nearest cruiser without jump flare or engine trail, touched the larger ship with a narrow beam, and vanished again. For 3 seconds. Nothing happened. Then the cruiser's weapons fell away from its hull, as if every bolt had decided to release at once. Cannons, missile racks, armor plates, and targeting arrays drifted into space, while the crew compartment remained sealed. The Dominion bridge fell silent. The small ship repeated the maneuver against 5 more cruisers. Removing their weapons with impossible precision, Kor demanded the vessel identify itself. A human voice answered, "Civilian Evacuation Authority, temporary designation Shepard. Maintain distance from the corridor." The Admiral checked every treaty and found no record of such an authority. He ordered the entire forward formation to fire. Hundreds of weapons locked on, but before they discharged, every Dominion targeting screen filled with the faces of refugees inside the corridor. Children and wounded families beneath the images appeared a warning. Your firing solution crosses civilian holes. Confirm intent. Kor confirmed. That decision changed the meaning of the battle. Shepard opened along its spine, revealing not a cannon, but a rotating black sphere, space bent toward it. The Dominion barrage curved away from the refugees and folded into a tight ring around the human ship. Plasma, missiles, and kinetic rounds circled harmlessly like a storm trapped in glass. Then the sphere released them upward, firing the entire attack into empty space. The human vessel did not counterattack. It transmitted the same instruction: maintain distance from the corridor. Grand Admiral Kor mistook restraint for limitation. He divided his armada, sending fast destroyers around the battlefield to strike the evacuation ships from behind. Shepard vanished, then appeared in 6 places at once. Every destroyer saw it directly ahead. Each copy moved with identical timing. Each projected a pale field across space. The attackers entered those fields and stopped. Engines burning, weapons armed, crews conscious, but frozen relative to the rest of the universe, trapped inside bubbles where a second could last a century. The refugees continued moving one by one. Transports crossed Cindergate, escorted by nothing except the silent human ship and the certainty that every attack would be answered. Coalition commanders asked Shepard for permission to rejoin the fight. The human voice refused. Your people have suffered enough. Protect the evacuation. Leave the armada to us. The word "us" confused them, because no other human vessel appeared. Then an Allied scientist recognized the ship's impossible movements. Shepard was using entangled mass shadows, versions drawn from nearby probabilities. It was not duplicating. It was choosing several possible locations at once, and every possibility carried a weapon. Kor finally understood that the vessel was not a normal warship. It was a rumored human null ship, machines so dangerous that Earth refused to mark them with flags, because no government wanted to admit owning them. The Dominion had believed those rumors were propaganda. Now one stood alone before an armada and treated its strongest attacks as inconveniences. Kor ordered retreat, but his political overseer, Lord Vask, drew a pistol and killed the navigation officer. Declaring that withdrawal would disgrace the Dominion, he armed the armada's core breaker, a weapon designed to collapse Cindergate and kill everything within the system. Shepard spoke again, this time without calm. Weapon classification confirmed. Extinction-grade civilian corridor threatened. Defensive restrictions removed. The unmarked vessel became visible in every place at once. Thousands of probability shadows surrounded the Dominion armada, each one solid enough to act, some touched reactors and shut them down. Some severed command links, some pulled escape pods free. Others opened brief holes in space and dropped weapons into distant empty orbits. The Armada fired wildly, striking only versions of Shepard that ceased to exist before impact. Within 90 seconds, every Dominion ship was powerless. Every extinction weapon gone, and every command bridge isolated behind fields of black light. No great explosion marked the victory, only silence spreading from vessel to vessel. Lord Vask tried to detonate the core breaker manually. A human figure appeared on his bridge before his hand reached the control. Wearing a plain gray suit without rank or insignia, the figure was a remote body projected by Shepard. It removed the weapon key, restrained Vask, and looked toward Core. The Admiral expected execution. Instead, the human asked how many of his sailors had families. Core answered that nearly all did. The figure said, "Then help me send them home alive," and handed him a surrender code. The last refugee crossed Cinder Gate as the Dominion Armada powered down. Only then did 3 human medical ships arrive. Not warships, carrying surgeons, repair crews, food, and translators. They treated Dominion sailors beside Coalition survivors. While Shepard remained motionless among the defeated fleet, its hull still blank. Allied officers requested the name of its captain for their records. The answer came after a long pause. Names create targets. Remember the people who escaped instead. Earth had sent no fleet because a fleet would have turned Cindergate into a larger war. One unmarked vessel had been sent to end the killing without beginning another campaign. The Dominion later withdrew from Coalition territory after recordings of Vask's order became public. Core testified against him, and the Armada sailors returned home carrying a story no censor could erase. Generations later, military academies studied the battle and reached the same conclusion. The most frightening human ship was not the largest, loudest, or most decorated. It was the one without a flag, because a marked vessel represented a nation's power. An unmarked vessel represented a problem so dangerous that humanity preferred the galaxy never know it existed.